Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Casey Porter here, joined by Coach Barikoff on a glorious Wednesday evening. It is glorious, Coach, because we are Dodgers fans. It's always glorious to be a Dodgers fan, right? Especially right now, Shohei Ohtani goes back into Anaheim and hits the big double early on in the game and has a good game, then gets intentionally walked later, and there's a big controversy of getting the Mookie Betts and all that. It was a lot of fun, but it was a great game. The Dodgers have been playing great as of late.
Listen, I'm in L.A., born and bred. The Angels are the Orange County Angels to me. They are not near Los Angeles. I loved everything that happened last night. I loved that they were acting like this was the biggest series of their life for a 57-win team. I love that Ron Washington intentionally walked Ohtani for an MVP and Mookie Betts, and I love what Mookie Betts did. It made my heart flutter. Let's go, Dodgers. Let's go.
You know what? It's kind of sad to me. I mean, not really, but kind of, because I'm a baseball fan and I root for baseball people. You know, people who are good for the game, have been good for the game, and are good people, you know, beyond just the competition of rooting for the Dodgers. Ron Washington's one of those people. I really like Wash. I mean, he is a great dude. I think he's a really good manager. I have no idea why he took that job with the Angels. I mean, it's like a fish out of water. He's such an intense, just such a detailed person, and he's like having to manage like Anthony Rendon and like the pitcher last night. I can't remember his name. He's really freaking good, but it's like they don't concentrate or something.
I'll tell you this. He's a really good manager, but the mistake he made was listening to his agent and going to the Angels.
Oh, no doubt.
And who knows? Maybe that was the only job that was being offered to him, and he's going to get a chance to build that organization. But as a Dodger fan and as born and bred in Los Angeles, man, I loved what I saw. Sorry, Angel fans out there. The Orange County Angels, I love what's happening.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And, hey, I'll tell you what. You can't let Shohei Ohtani go back into Anaheim Stadium and do something dramatic and win that. You just can't do it, man. I mean, you know, hey, you got to make business decisions during the game, and you got to make decisions that are best for your team in the moment. But then sometimes you also got to look at the personal side and just go, hey, man, win, lose, or draw, this can't be Ohtani doing this. I think even as professional as Ron Washington is, that had to have gone into the equation.
Yeah, and if we want to be honest with ourselves, Shohei didn't look good the last two at-bats. I mean, right. he let a ball go right down the middle, and he took it. He didn't look good the next at-bat. Like, my thinking was, I'm taking my chance with Shohei, but he did not want – I mean, the crowd was standing. Everybody was on their feet, even the Angel fans, because they haven't seen anything exciting for years. And he didn't want Shohei beating him. I think he, in his mind, was – if somebody's going to beat us, it's going to be Mookie, and I don't have to take this Hollywood ending with Shohei. And I think it got him. I really think that was a bad move for a guy that's a very tactical, like you were saying, manager. So, but it was good for us Dodger fans, right?
I think it was a bad move. I think it would have been a bad move to pitch to Shohei Ohtani. I think any move that he had at that moment was a bad move, and there was no good move to make. So sometimes as a manager, you just got to go, okay, tonight, win, lose, or draw, which move can I lay my head down with the most and live with the most? You've done that so many times, Coach, I'm sure. It's gone, okay, I really don't have any good options. Which one can I deal with myself with the most in this moment? That's the one you go with.
Yeah, and it almost seemed pre-planned. Like if it almost was like on his play card. If Ohtani comes up at a big moment, we're going to intentionally walk him. I actually weirdly thought they were going to intentionally walk Betts to get to Freeman, who had that really great at-bat previously, but I don't know. It just was for him, there was a no-win situation. The Hollywood ending with Ohtani, Mookie Betts, one pitch, went yard. Dodger fans were happy. Angel fans are like, yeah, this is the norm for us.
Yeah. Yeah, got to be worried about the Padres, though, Coach, as well as the Dodgers have played. You know the Dodgers are going to cool off at some point. I mean, as good as the Dodgers roster is, as elite as it is, it's got to cool off at some point. And I'll tell you the thing that's scary about the Padres. Oral mentioned this, and I didn't actually realize this. I'd thought about the D-backs more than the Padres lately because that's who was on our plate. The Padres actually have the tiebreaker against the Dodgers. Yep. So they are, I agree with Oral, definitely the more scary team between the two. Plus, I think they have better top-end players.
Yeah, Casey, I was, if you didn't say it, I was going to bring it up. I listened to Joe ask Oral, who are you worried more about, the D-bags or the Padres? And Oral.
Was that with a CKS or a GS?
I don't know. Whatever my wife says, she can't stand Arizona, so I go with what she says. But Oral said he's worried about the Padres, and I agree with him. Yes. The Padres have this cockiness to them. If they get hot, I'm more worried about San Diego than I am about Arizona. There's something about the aura of the Padres in the hate with the Dodgers, and the Dodgers not thinking the Padres are any good, like fan-wise. That's a scary team.
It is.
And I don't want to see them if they're on a roll. And you know what? They are on a roll. And you're right. The Dodgers, as elite as we are, it's baseball. We've talked about this multiple times. There's going to be they're not going to win the rest of the games. There's going to be a time where they have a couple games in a row. And the way the Padres are going, Casey, they seem to they're not going to lose. It's just that's the feeling I have. But it's going to be a fascinating end of the season. I'm excited.
The Dodgers have just won in so many miraculous ways. It's like they found every which way to win. And, I guess the pessimist side of me thinks, gosh, they've just won in so many different fortunate ways that at some point that luck's got to come to an end. And when it does, what the heck's going to happen? So, am I being too pessimistic there, or is this just who the Dodgers are?
No, I think you're thinking as a coach, as a former man, as a baseball guy.
Yeah, right.
But it's like, part of me thinks this is great that the Dodgers are finding different ways to win. It's been so methodically easy the last how many years. They've got a big lead. They just kind of coasted into the playoffs. Now the Dodgers are having to figure out ways to win. They're having to win in extra innings. They're having to win with a banged-up pitching staff. They're having to win with pitchers that are thrown out there that they're uncertain, and they're still finding ways to do it. I kind of like this. It's kind of like that team that goes on a run in the College World Series for baseball. It's like, how did that team get there? Well, they hit every timely hit, and they just keep it going. That's kind of what reminds me of the Dodgers right now, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, you remember that Fresno State team?
Yep.
2012?
Yeah.
The lefty that the Dodgers had earlier this year was the stud on that team. He actually picked free agency back in May or April. That Fresno State team comes directly to mind when you talk about that.
It's funny you say that because I was in San Luis Obispo at the time.
Oh, really?
And
okay.
A guy named Tom Mott, who is a diehard Giants fan. But anyways, Tom and I were watching that World Series, and we just kept looking at each other saying, I cannot believe Fresno keeps doing this. And it's like, if that's what the Dodgers are going to be like, I'm okay. I said on social media, the Arizona series, the Dodgers were the underdog. Arizona was in the World Series. They won all that. They beat us. I like this Dodger underdog, this fight that they have right now. And the tweet that's going out there about the Dodgers, every game is like the World Series for other teams. Angels have won 57 games, and they're dancing around. A guy's throwing 106 miles per hour because he's so juiced up, and still the Dodgers found a way to win, and that's what I like right now.
I'm going to say this point blank, and I'm usually pretty guarded with what I say. But I'm just going to say point blank, the Angels suck. They just flat suck, man. That's a sucky-ass team that I watched last night. I say that, they'll probably spank the Dodgers tonight, but that's a terrible team, man. Everything about them. They don't play hard. They don't concentrate. They don't. Whew.
Hey, listen. I grew up being around the Angels. I've never had respect for them. I know they won the World Series, and it's just when you grow up in Los Angeles, you're either a Dodger or Angel, and I knew very little Angel fans. So I have some buddies that I know, but it's not like when I was a kid, we're all in on the Angels. Who likes Brian Downing was good. But come on, we weren't following Brian Downing. We were following the other Dodger guys. Yeah. So it's funny.
Some
of
those early '80s California teams were pretty fun to watch.
Yes, and the Donnie Moore thing and the home run that he gave up to Boston. I'll remember that stuff. That's the Angels that I remember. But this current stuff with the Disneyland and the waterfalls all out there, and I don't know. It's time for them to get new management or keep their management and keep going what they're doing, because I like what they're doing right now.
Fine with me. Absolutely fine with me. Hey, Gregory, good evening. Thank you so much for joining. We have a wonderful crowd logging in, and as to be expected, because guess what? Coach Barikoff is on the horn, and every time he's on the horn, the crowd goes through the roof, right? Yes. Hey, Bo Hager, thank you so much for joining. Roy Estrada, going to have a wonderful show tonight. Craig Osterberg, Nando390, thank you so much for joining. And so, hey, Showtime LA, Ela Shiva is in the crowd tonight. We have our A-team tonight, Coach. Ing is in the crowd, and so we're going to have a great conversation about the Dodgers. Just a reminder, and we're going to talk to you about this too, we have a really nice Down on the Farm segment to get to when Coach Barikoff logs off. It's about 15 minutes long. You're going to want to see it because Eric Swan was big time last night. The 2023 draft pick, 6'6", right-handed pitcher out of Middle Tennessee State. All these tools, trying to put them together, right? Well, he put them together last night. Added a cutter. I actually communicated with him today. I was like, hey, dude, I didn't know you had a cutter. Or what? Is that just optical illusion or what's going on? He goes, no, I actually started throwing a cutter this week. So that's pretty cool. Evan Shaw got his first professional save, the young man out of Kansas that I saw many different times with the Jayhawks. Pitch for them. He's really good. Elijah Hainline made a ridiculous play at shortstop to end the Quakes game last night. At the AA Tulsa level, you're going to want to watch Jose Ramos. Jose Ramos, Janier Fernandez, Jermaine Rosario had really nice nights within a very tough year for the Tulsa Drillers. This has been the toughest year I can remember, certainly since Scott Hennessy. You know, when Scott Hennessy took over in 2017, they were having a tough year. And Scott Hennessy really resurrected everything, and that's why they call him the mayor of Drillville. And he'll get it figured out for next year, but it's been a rough year for them. And then Oklahoma City, obviously, there was, I mean, the stars were out last night. You had Yoshinobu Yamamoto, you had Brusdar Gratterall, you had Connor Brogdon, and then John Rooney finished it last night. Great to see Jay Runes finish the season really strong. He's been really good since the beginning of August. Cody Hosey hit another home run. James Outman went yard. James Outman also made a really nice catch in center field. So all of that, 15 minutes long on the Down the Farm, so stick around for that. Coach, I'm going to have you dive in right now on, you were there last night, you did pitch clock, Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Well, so let's backtrack just a tad. Number one, when I heard that he's going to pitch in Oklahoma City, I ran and looked at my schedule because I always miss like the rehab guys. And luckily I was on the pitch clock last night. I got there like at 4:40 into the press box. I wanted to see all the excitement, man. Listen, he didn't, in his own words, it wasn't incredibly a great outing, but he was happy with the way he pitched. He said personally, he had a 17 pitch at bat where he walked a guy, gave up 2 runs, but you know what? I think he was working on stuff that maybe the trained eye or the fan eye wouldn't see, but he seemed happy after the game with his interview with Lisa last night. It was exciting. I was so excited to see this guy live and in person. I think we're excited. I know David Vassay just announced that he'll be pitching on Tuesday.
That surprises me. That goes against my tweet today, and I would stand by my tweet if you saw last night's performance. I think I don't think I necessarily was wrong to say what I did. Just the Dodgers sometimes do things that surprise you. I would say that. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and I think just talking to people within the Dodgers organization, you're always surprised with some of the things the Dodgers do. And I know one of the comments he made last night was, I'm going to talk to the organization and tell them how I feel and how they feel. And maybe he said he was ready. And I think with a guy that you're paying this much money to, he's ready. Yeah, right. I'm going to be excited to watch him on Tuesday night. But in terms of a Dodger fan, seeing him last night live and in person, so close to him, it was really exciting. And let's see what he does on Tuesday. Dodgers seem to know what they're doing, but it's going to be interesting to watch Tuesday night to see what he's going to be able to give us.
The thing that surprises me, as you can see, Coach, what they're seeing here with the video, the thing that surprises me, I think, the most about getting brought up right now is that he's only going 2 innings. And with the way the bullpen's already been taxed so much, that just doesn't seem like a match right now, just the short distances.
Yeah, Casey, I think as fans, sometimes we lose sight on the decisions, and we've talked about this, decisions that are made, but I think if you look at the numbers, the Dodgers bullpen is been used as much as anybody in all of baseball.
Right.
And you're right. What has he done other than 2 innings? And I'm concerned, can he what is the magic number? 5.5 to 6? Can he give 6 innings on Tuesday?
So he's going to go from 2 innings in a AAA setting to 6 in 1 week? I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, and he threw 2 innings, and what did he throw? 57, 58 pitches last night? And again, one of those was a 17-pitch at-bat to, Omar Naves, where he walked him.
Yeah.
It's an interesting move. I'm as surprised as everybody else would probably be. I think a lot of fans are pumped, but he's only gone 4 total innings, correct?
Yeah,
total?
Absolutely. And two innings and 2 different appearances. Are you surprised at all that San Diego did the same thing with Yu Darvish as the Dodgers did with Yamamoto?
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to question the Dodgers and what they do, Casey. I don't know. The talk too last night was that he was going to throw a bullpen session after the game, after his innings were done, and I don't think that happened. I kept my eye down there. Unless I missed it or something happened underneath. You would know more. I haven't been down underneath the stadium. But I know he did his interview. I've
been down about every part. I don't remember seeing a bullpen.
So there you go. Maybe they know something we don't know. Maybe that's all I'm going to say. Let's hope they know more than we do, and I'm sure they do.
Yep. Hey, Roy Estrada says the Madres will lose to D-backs if the D-backs hold the number 1 wild card spot. Yoshi or Bus says, Nando 390, they're having to win with Dave Roberts still managing, LOL. Yeah, we on this show, we like Dave Roberts. He does a good job as far as managing the players and most of the decisions he makes. Hey, I'll say this. Every major league club, the fan base does not like their manager. I mean, that's just how it goes.
Yeah, listen, dude, I take so much heat for being a Dave Roberts fan. Yeah. I love the dude. I am who I am. I love Dave Roberts. I know the players love him, but I constantly see every decision that Dave Roberts makes is questioned, and why is he our manager? But guys, Dave Roberts is our manager. We're in first place. I think this is the best job he's ever done managing. That's me personally saying that. You can argue with me. I think this is the best job ever he's done with all the injuries, the bullpen issues. This has been a spectacular job by Dave Roberts.
I would totally agree. Ela Shiva, Rojas Mania. Rojas continues to be incredible, Coach. Rojas, even last year when he was struggling offensively, I said probably 6 or 7 different times on our daily podcast, I love this guy. I just love the energy he plays with. I love the bottom line that he kind of produces for the teammates around him. Like, hey, guys, I don't care who's 0 for 4 or 1. This is all about winning. I mean, we need to win. You need to do what you need to do as a teammate, even if you're not getting hits like I don't sometimes. We need to all do what we're supposed to do to win this game. I just love his leadership abilities.
Here's the thing, Casey, with him. It's like with any sport you play or any sport you've coached, if you have a really good team, those unsung guys rise to the occasion. I mean, the guys that are surrounded by him, it's like he can relax a little bit and just play. Like, he's got Hall of Famers surrounding him, and that's kind of the impression I have of Miggy Rowe this year. It's like, man, I'm living the good life. Like, I've got a bunch of Hall of Famers around me. All I got to do is just relax.
That's a great point, Coach. That's a great point. I'd never really thought of it that way, but that is a great point.
And again, we forget. You might know the year, but there were a few years ago, he hit one over 300. The guy could play.
2022.
He's surrounded by so many good players. I think he's just rising to the occasion because when you have people that are playing well, if you're an average to mid-average guy, you start playing better because of who's surrounding you. And I love Miggy Rowe right now. I love what he brings. I love what he's doing.
Here's how hardcore Dodgers fans are. Dodgers fans were pretty critical of that trade whenever they traded him for Jacob Amaya. Jacob Amaya, I love the young man, great with the glove, hasn't figured out the offensive side. Just got DFA'd by Houston.
Yep.
Just got picked up from the White Sox. That's how good the Dodgers are in these trade scenarios. So the reason why you don't want to trade with the Dodgers is because they know a hell of a lot more about their players than you do. So if they're wanting to trade a player to you, I would put up a red flag right there if I was another organization. Unless it's like a Glass Now deal where you're getting Pepe and DeLuca because they want Glass Now. Does that make sense to you? But if it's a mid-level guy like a Rojas was at the time, I ain't dealing business with the Dodgers because they're going to know more. They're probably going to know more about your player than you know about your player.
Casey, when we were leading up into the trade talks, into that time, you kept asking me, and I said, I don't understand why people want to trade with the Dodgers.
Yeah. Oh, why?
They're so far ahead, and you kept saying, well, what's your opinion? And I'm like, I don't know why people would want to trade with us. Why as Dodger fans do we feel like people are just going to give us these players? Well, look at the Edman and Kopech deal. I mean, that's a fleece of all fleeces right now. And I would be the first to admit I was a little hesitant on both of those guys. And holy cow, they have just risen to the occasion again. They're playing in a team that has a chance to win a World Series, so their game is going to raise. But you're right. It's man, the Dodgers are just so far ahead in their analysis of players. It's crazy.
Well, it's because they have defined boundaries for their pro scouts. Like you go to the Tulsa game and like the Mariners, the guy will be like, well, I kind of here there's no like real I've got these teams and I got these levels of like and you take like the Dodgers pro scouts and they go, well, I have this area, I have these teams, I'm going to be here on Tuesday, I'm going to be there on Wednesday, I'm taking these exact notes, these are exactly what. So there's just I can't hardly explain unless you see it. It's the organization of it is just so much more incredible for the Dodgers pro scouts than it is for all the other organizations that I have seen. I've seen quite a bit of them because the Texas League has a pretty good mix of, like the Mariners, AA's in Texas League and the Royals and all that. And then in AAA at Oklahoma City, you have all the West Coast teams. So you get to see quite a few of the different organizational scouts. And the Dodgers are just light years above everybody else in terms of resources for number one. Let's not hide that fact. They can pay more pro scouts to go to more places, and they can get more boots on the ground than anybody else. But hey, that's one thing. I mean, it's like there's a lot of schools that get 5-star athletes every year. Texas did it for 25 years and still wasn't very good at football, right? So just because you have the resources doesn't mean you're always going to be able to know how to take advantage of them. But the Dodgers do it all.
Yeah, Casey. I mean, that's the thing. Yes, we have more resources, but you still have to have the guys that have the eyes and the know-how to find these guys, and especially where the Dodgers draft all the time. They never have a great pick, but yet we find all these guys second, third, fourth, fifth, deep into the draft where these guys produce. And yes, we might have more resources. And again, the complaint is all the analytics that we do, but doggone, in the draft, we have really hit it, and we've hit it well every single year. And throw analytics aside, Dodgers are doing well drafting, and it's paying off. The advanced scouting is incredible.
It absolutely is, Coach. 1,000% it is. I would totally agree with that. Okay, so we have a comment from Roy Estrada. Bring on the Madres. We want all the smoke. Our lineup is World Series worthy. If our three top starters perform, we are in good position. Madres dealing with pitching issues as well. Going to say it, Coach, for the first time, not the last time. Here at Dodgers Dogs, as part of the Dodgers Daily community, we don't have the biggest crowd out there, but we definitely have the best baseball talk at Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. I will go to my grave saying that.
I agree. I'm doing a lot more things with the Dodgers stuff now, and I always come on here, and people have the great questions, the real serious questions about Dodger baseball, and I love it. I love the educated answers, questions, and it makes me think. And every time I go off the air with you, Case, I'm always like, man, those are some good questions. Let me go research that. Am I crazy? How am I thinking? And I'll tell you what I like is I'm starting to get people back home in California. Ron, my brother Jeff is on right now. They're starting to tell people about Dodgers Daily. So
yeah, cool.
People are getting excited.
Yeah. We love it here, and we love talking. Like I always, you do this as a head coach, I'm sure too, Coach, but all the years I was in charge of whether it be softball or football or baseball, whatever sport it was, I was the head coach in at the time. I always told the coaches that I worked with, you're not working for me, you're working with me. You are not my assistant, you are a coach. We are working at this together. Now, yes, I've had the final decision because somebody has to do that, but you are just approach it like you're working for me and not with me. That's how I like to approach the chat and the people. Hey, they're not chatting for Dodgers Daily. They're chatting with Dodgers Daily, and we are all doing this together, which is why I think we can all give our opinions which are great, and it just see every different side of every issue, and it'd be a lot of fun doing so.
Yeah, I think that's what's great is I always go off of this thinking like, man, my opinion, there's all these other opinions. That's what makes the Dodger fan base so awesome. Absolutely. Is that there's so many cool opinions out there. And the bottom line, all our opinions are wanting to be the same thing. All as Dodger fans want to see our baseball team win a World Series, and that's why I love the passion of the Dodgers. Sometimes we're crazy, but I still love it because at the end of the day, we all want to win a World Series.
About once a month, I lose my mind on something. Saturday, I went on a little bit of a tangent, but hey, that's okay. We all do that, right? Hey, Showtime LA, this is probably going to be more of a question for you because I had to duck out for those couple of weeks, and I honestly have not seen Edgardo Enriquez pitch probably his last 3 or 4 outings. I know you have, Coach Barikoff. So here's the question from Showtime. Hey, Casey, I saw Enriquez has a 350 average against, but a sub 2.50 ERA. Has he been stranding a lot of runners?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, it's tough. You see a lot of social media guys want to put up one thing and one thing only is the velocity. And, yeah, he throws the ball hard. I mean, sometimes when you're in the press box, you don't even see the baseball. But it's his secondary stuff that I think needs a lot of work. And I think, from my opinion, you can go into Major League Baseball. Hitters are going to hit 102, 103. But it's all the other stuff that I think he needs to develop. And Casey, you've seen him with Tulsa way more than I have.
Yeah.
I think it's the other stuff that he needs to really hone in on. And that's why I was so adamant in saying he is not ready to be called up to Major League Baseball. I think that would have been the worst thing for him. But what we see only on social media is the 102, 103 and dotting it past guys. It's the other pitches that we need to show. But I think he's one of those guys, Casey, you say it all the time, he's untouchable. I love the dude. Like, I cannot wait to see him develop. He's going to be a big-time guy for us, but he's just not major league ready.
Yeah. I've said this on a couple of our Dodgers daily shows, and when I dive into something that maybe a player's not doing as well, I don't ever put it on print media because people can slice that up. They can make it. They don't hear my voice, so they don't get the tone of how I'm saying it. So there's a lot of perspective there that you lose with the written language that you get whenever you actually can see my face, you can see my expressions, what I'm trying to say. And back in June when I saw him point blank, I mean, the last time I saw him, he gave up 3 runs and they were all on a slider. And so it's, he has the smaller slider that's about 94, which is pretty good. And then the bigger slider with depth, that's the one that rolls and gets hit. So I think whenever you say, to be more specific, when you say he needs to work on his off speed, I think it's his bigger slider that he has to be able to land to play off of that fastball. Because the smaller slider, whatever. I mean, but there's, when you're throwing, and he does hit 101, 102, but he's more likely like 98, 99, that type of stuff consistently. Yeah. So that what he needs is that bigger difference in miles per hour to be able to get major league hitters out. And it's that bigger slider to me that he struggles with the most.
Yeah, spot on. I mean, you said everything that I was wanting to say. He's the problem that I have with him is it's like the Bronny James. When you see his social media stuff, everything is all the positive stuff. You don't actually see Bronny James playing basketball.
Right.
I see a lot of Dodgers social media people. He hit 102 on the gun tonight, and that's all they leave it as. And it's like, I want to say, like, but what else did he do? He's getting hit on his other pitches. And I think once he develops, you said the big slider, the smaller slider, the off speed, the changeup, I think that's when he's really going to take the next step. Yeah, yes, agree. He throws really hard and it's really exciting, but he's got to have other stuff. That's just that. In Casey, here's the other thing. I saw there was a time everybody wanted him up, but we all know what happens when Dodger.
You and I never said that. I've never, not one time, even came close to saying that.
Not you and I. But here's my also fear. He comes up and he gets hit, and everybody's going to be like, send him back down. Why did we bring him up? So that was also my biggest fear. But you and I have always been on the same page with him. Spectacular, untouchable, but not ready.
Yeah, absolutely. And I typically like to approach like the things they don't do right after they've had success and come back. I don't like to talk about a guy while he's in a tough patch. Like Alex Freeland right now, I think it would be better to talk about him whenever he recovers from the tough patch. And then you can talk about, because right now, I can't talk about all the things he did to get out of it. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's a lot easier, and I think it makes more real world sense once Alex Freeland, which we all know that he's going to, once he gets out of the tough patch and starts making all his plays at shortstop, starts having an OPS over 800 and a WRC plus back around the 120s. Once he gets back into that mode, I think then you can dive into what went wrong and then talk about what went wrong and compare that to what went right. And then you can have a real conversation about that. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense. In OKC right now, what minor league baseball has this week, so 3 weeks total left. And
AAA does.
AAA, yeah. And I don't know if people realize, but Oklahoma City right now is still in a race.
Yeah.
To win the second half of the division. And, they're playing the Space Cowboys, which is, already clinched the first half of the season. But, yeah, Freeland, I would love to see when he gets out of this. He looks very frustrated. I've watched him enough now with Oklahoma City. He looks frustrated, but I still think the guy's too good. And I can't wait for Casey and you guys to figure out, and talk about what you just said about Alex Freeland, because the future is very bright with him.
Well, I mean, when you're talking about Alex Freeland, if you're going to talk about, and I've said this, and I can say this right now with a clear mind, and I said this even whenever he was going good, and I said it when Bruce was on. You were on the show that night.
Yep.
The situation with Alex Freeland is the swing and miss.
Yeah.
Of all the great stuff he did last year, he stole 32 bases. He had a pretty good year, and of all the stuff he did great at the beginning of this year, the biggest difference between last year, of which he had really nice periods of time during the season, and they're seeing him on the screen right now, versus the first 3 quarters of this year, where he was really, really good at everything, was the fact that his strikeout rate went down to 15, 16% instead of 30%. And so since he's gone back up to AAA, you have these AAA pitchers that they know your holes. I've always said it, AA has major league talent, but it's far from major league execution, right? AAA, sometimes you have less talent in AAA than you have in AA, because you have the major league veterans that are a little bit older. They don't throw, like Connor Brogdon you saw last night.
Yep.
He's 92 to 94. Well, you go to Tulsa down the road, there wasn't one pitcher all night long that threw 92 miles an hour. Yeah. They were all 96, 97. So there was better arm talent in Tulsa, but Connor Brogdon with 300 and whatever major league innings, he's dotting a pitch up here. He's cutting a pitch there. He's exploiting a hole in a guy's swing there because he's able to execute. So the AAA execution is going to blow a hole open in a guy that has swing and miss like Alex Freeland until he makes the adjustment of how to close that hole. And that's the adjustment period he's in right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes complete sense, and that's what we're seeing right now. I mean, there's a lot of swing and miss, and it's almost too. I'm bummed out. It's carrying into the field, defensively. He's made some errors that I've seen that just he normally doesn't make. So he's thinking about all this, but he's. See,
this is good to me though. This is the process guys need to go through. They need to fail. He needs to go through this before he gets to LA.
I was just gonna say that. This is good. You want to see how he's going to recover. And this is what Major League Baseball is. It's not going to be easy. And you're seeing that right now. And I will say, on a different subject, Dalton Rushing, this guy's showing he's going to be a Major League stud. I mean, golly. I mean, he's hitting 300 right now or close to it right now at Oklahoma City.
I wasn't wrong on him either. He looks
like a Major League player. And he's not even playing his proper position. He's playing left field. So Dalton Rushing's a stud out there, all you Dodger fans.
Yeah, absolutely. Dalton Rushing, I think, probably 2 months ago, I sent out a tweet, and my tweet was, Edgardo Henriquez was pitching to Dalton Rushing. I said, hey, I don't believe in untouchables because if the right guy comes along and they're offering him for a crazy package, everybody can be dealt, right? I mean, but if there is such a thing as an untouchable, the 2 guys that are you're seeing on the screen here. And those 2 guys were Edgardo Henriquez and Dalton Rushing. And Dalton Rushing, yes, he's great, but you've seen it now, Coach. It's just the Kirk Gibson feel that he gives you as far as just wanting to kick the other. He doesn't want to beat the other team. He wants to kick their teeth in. I mean, he just is so competitive and so fiery. It's just so fun to watch him play.
Yeah, and Austin talked about it a couple of months ago, about when they were in that playoff and stuff, and And you see it, Dalton rushing every at bat. He's ticked off when things don't go well. He plays with emotion. It's awesome. I'm glad we think he's untouchable, because you and I had been saying that for a while.
Long time.
And I was glad the Dodgers agreed with you and I know they were listening. I know somebody was listening, and they took that back, to the people that needed to hear it. But
yeah, I bet they listen to me.
We're lucky to have Dalton rushing. I think he's the next guy for us. And it was nice to see James Outman last night get a home run, because we're all big fans of him here on Dodgers Daily. So
no doubt. James Outman will bet on himself. James Outman will be fine as long as he gets opportunity, and opportunities will roll back around. We know that. I mean, it always happens. About the time you think that things are looking pretty bleak, then somebody gets hurt. So James Outman will have opportunity. So it's like I said in our tweet today, hey, James is going to continue to bet on himself. I will continue to bet on him. And so it's just a matter of continue to do what you can do, control what you can control, wait for your next opportunity, and then when you get your next opportunity, you got to be ready to pounce on it.
Yep. Yeah, that's the thing with Outman. Is we all want to see him succeed, but he's got to produce eventually. There's got to be a time where our fandom of James Outman, he's got to get up and stay up. And that's my big thing with Outman. That's the next step for me, because he looks great in center. He's got power. He's got speed. Just get up with the Dodgers now, James, and produce. And I hope you're listening to this right now. Produce, buddy, because we're all pulling for you.
Hey, we have a great crowd logging in on Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Coach. Having a pin of Brusdar, Enriquez, and Kopech. Yeah, that would be pretty incredible. What an inning. In the ninth innings yesterday, it almost felt like Freddie should have caught the ball. Remember when we traded for Wally Joyner? That was a freaking bust, wasn't it, Sammy Boy Smith? Coach, I always say it, Dodgers Dawgs is part of the Dodgers Daily Network. It is the A-team, no doubt about that. Roy Estrada, Casey, Coach, can you see a scenario where you see Buehler and Kershaw come out of the pen? Heard them say whatever the team needs to win. Absolutely. No doubt about it. Hey, and by the way, what'd you think of Walker Buehler last night, Coach?
So I liked it. He was competitive, but what I was thinking was, boy, you know what? Fifth and sixth inning, he'd be really good for a fifth and sixth inning, not 1, 2, 3, 4. He's looked really good for like 2, 3, 4 innings, and then he has that one inning. Like, I could see Walker Buehler one really inning where you need a shutdown inning after you score 2 runs and you bring in your pen and Walker Buehler comes in to get those 3. That's where I envision Walker Buehler right now. And again, I'm a big Walker Buehler. I love the guy, but I just don't see him as a starter right now for us. Maybe to carry innings going into the playoffs. I don't see him starting in the playoffs. And what are you going to do with him? Well, he'd be a great fifth inning guy, a great sixth inning guy for 3 at-bats against the right matchups. That's my opinion, right or wrong.
No doubt about it. I think the thing about him too, Coach, I think the trust tree is a big thing in the Dodgers organization. I think he's in the trust tree with Dave. I think he's in the trust tree with the management, and I think he's in the trust tree with all of the fans too. So, Hey, we have a comment here from your brother, Jeff, that Jose Ramos has a gun in the outfield. No doubt about that. He definitely has a gun in the outfield. Let me work my way to the bottom and work back up. Hey, Coach, how about this? Justin Lamas, greetings from Lyon, France. Is that Lyon or Lyon?
Lyon, I think.
Is it? Wow. Yeah. How about that, huh?
Wonder what team you follow in football. It's not PSG, I hope, right?
Justin joins quite a bit. Thank you so much for joining, Justin. Cannot tell you how much I appreciate all of you wonderful Dodgers dogs out there as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Say it all the time. I'm going to say it again. Not the biggest crowd, by far the best. No doubt about it. And talking about the best, Coach, Daryl Jackson's also joined. I like to see more position players internally get a chance. I'm very tired of seeing them being held back. That is a frustration of mine. There is a lot of talent. The Dodgers leapfrog a lot of their position players like a Ryan Ward, a Drew Avens, for the Tommy Edmonds, for the Kevin Kiermaiers, for even like the David Peraltas, the Trace Thompsons, the Jason Haywards. That can be frustrating.
Yeah, and it's, I think
it is Lyon, yes.
All right, Coach Barakov. All right, I'm on it.
Okay.
It is frustrating because you see all the talent we have in our system, and that's why it's good to see Edmund producing. It was good to see them make a tough business decision with Jason Hayward.
Yes.
Kiermaier, yeah, I mean, you got to weigh the options, James Outman or Kiermaier, and I think they just went with a guy that's had a lot of major league at-bats, and because I don't see there is any difference in terms of defensively with Outman and Kiermaier, but I think they just went with he had a lot more major league experience than Outman, and but you're right. I'd love to see these young guys. Our system is so loaded with dudes, man.
I thought they got Kiermaier to DFA him, and then they were like, oh, damn, this guy's – I don't think we can do that now, right? And then also the other factor that is, Daryl, that you have to take into the equation is the last thing that they want is like James Outman not getting everyday at-bats. That's the problem. He can come to Oklahoma City, get everyday at-bats, or go to L.A. and get 3 at-bats a week. It's better for James Outman and the organization that he get everyday at-bats. At some point that will change, but I still think he is in the mode to where everyday at-bats is better for them. Hey, Cole, good evening. Imagine walking an MVP to get to another. I'll go one further than that. Imagine walking a Hall of Famer to get to another Hall of Famer and thinking about walking that Hall of Famer only to face a third Hall of Famer. How about that, huh?
I mean, like, how lucky are we? If we could go into the playoffs with those 3 guys on fire, we're going to have a lot of fun. I'm not going to have to touch all my bobbleheads in the 7th and 8th inning and do the rally hat. We're going to be pretty good.
Do the Dodgers value pitchers more than position players? Absolutely not. The Dodgers and every other organization have a easier time going and finding a Brent Honeywell, a Ryan Brazier, a Yency Almonte. It's easier to go get like a relief pitcher on a scrap heap, if you will, on their last leg than it is like a position player. Like a Kevin Kiermaier, yeah, he's been good, but he hasn't hit, right? I mean, Tommy Edman was a pretty legitimate deal. It's very hard to go find a DFA position player because here's the problem. Like, you can find plenty of innings for a relief pitcher like Brent Honeywell if he's on your 40-man. We know that with the way the bullpens had to be used. But how do you find at bats for Kevin Kiermaier? So if a guy just got DFA'd and he's struggling, and then he's only going to come to the Dodgers and get 2 or 3 at bats a week, there's no way that's going to work and succeed.
Yeah, it's spot on. I mean, there's not much for me to add to that, but yeah, Dodgers seem to be able to find these guys and resurrect their careers. And I think the Dodgers are great at that. I mean, we can talk all day about guys that they've fixed, but yeah, finding pitchers is easy, I guess. You know,
I just realized I had the Walker Buehler video on from earlier. I had not turned that off yet. Hey, we're going to go about another 5 minutes or so here on the Dodgers side, and then we're going to flip it over to the Down the Farm. Don't forget, we have Eric Swan, who is 96 to 98. We have Evan Shaw in his first professional save. We have a great play by Elijah Hainline. 2 guys that were drafted this summer that you want to see. We have a massive night from Jose Ramos, a big home run from Jainer Fernandez, Jermaine Rosario, and then Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Brusdar Gratterall, Connor Brogdon, John Rooney, Cody Hosey, James Outman. We've got it all coming up on Dodgers Daily Down on the Farm here in just a couple of minutes. So if you have any questions, now is your time to get it in. Pods are 15-1 and Diamondbacks are 18-1 to win the World Series. Dodgers are favored at plus 300. Edgardo is the not-so-secret weapon. Yeah, I've said this for a while, and we've talked about it, so I'll say this and we'll move on. I want the Dodgers fans to cool their jets on an Edgardo Henriquez. I point-blank said that the other day in a podcast. I put it on a post. I didn't mean it to be like negative toward Edgardo, and I know he didn't take it that way because we've communicated there since. But I think you put it best. I said we're not going to expand on this, but I wanted to bring this point home. The reason why Dodgers fans need to cool on him is because it's not what's best for him to hurry him right now. It's best for him to give him some patience.
Yeah, and that's where I'm coming from. Like, I love the talent. I love that he's got the high velocity, but he's just we need to hold our horses on him. The time will be right for him, and when that time is right, the Dodgers will know. And it's just, to me, it's not right now with 20 games left or whatever we have left of the season, and we're in a division race right now, and I don't see him. It doesn't make sense for him to be in a division race right now where there's going to be high leverage innings.
No doubt.
I just don't see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk about it. An A game comment. We can't have Smith and I've been saying this all year. I said this in the offseason, Coach. It's tough to have, especially Teo and Muncy back to back that strike out a lot. So you put a guy like Miggy Rowe between them so they don't become innings killers. That's a great comment from Roy.
No, Roy knows what he's talking about. Yeah, that's why I think the Dodgers have been constructing their lineup pretty well here in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I really like the construction of it. And
right.
You're right. And it is good, by the way, it's good to see Will Smith kind of figuring things out again.
It is. That's a missing piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Paul C., thank you so much for joining. Yes, T.O. in October does concern Paul because of the strikeouts. You on that bandwagon?
I'm not going to be on that bandwagon until he proves me differently. I'm going in with this playoff that T.O.'s going to rise to the occasion, and he's such a perfect fit right now with the Dodgers. And I think we've got to re-sign that guy. Let's give everything we need to do to get T.O. back. Yeah. I think he's great. I think he's going to rise to the occasion. Until he proves me differently, I'm not going to go. I'm going to go into the playoffs thinking T.O. is going to be a hero for us.
Yeah. Your brother Jess says he agrees with you. Roberts has been solid this year. Paul C. says, watch the Miggy Rowe and Chris Rose interview. He says it's good. I guess that's what that's saying there. Roy Estrada, last year was Dave Roberts' best managerial job. If you say this year or last year, I can't argue with either one of them, to be honest with you. The injuries in pitching was a challenge. Last year was supposed to be a throwaway. That's a great point. Season in preparation for Ohtani, we won over 100 games. Yes, Nando said, yeah, Jacob Amaya just got DFA'd, no doubt about that. Nando says we should have traded Rushing for Skubal. I think we'll both disagree with that. Well, I mean, straight up, yes. But, I mean, he's saying with a package with other players, too.
Yeah, I mean, I get the theory behind that, but I'm just going to stay with what I've been saying, and Rushing's going to be a big-time player for us, and I would rather hold on to Rushing than get a fix for this year. That's just me, though. Right or wrong.
So, Ayla Shiva wants to know, we've been talking about this, patience with Edgardo Henriquez. Putting you on the spot, Ayla Shiva's doing it, Coach, not me.
Okay.
Will Edgardo get brought up this year?
I would be absolutely shocked that he gets brought up. I'll let my hair grow out, and I do have hair. It's just my wife's decision, but I would be shocked.
Hey, the Flacco says, Magic Mookie, I like it. Talking about Magic, I haven't seen or heard Magic Johnson. He's still part owner, or what is he up to?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
My brother Jeff would know that. He lives in Los Angeles. Jeff, what do you got on that? But
yeah.
I don't know. Mookie Magic, who cares? Mookie Magic is here. Boy, oh boy, is it good to have that guy back, isn't it?
Yeah, who's the better defensive shortstop, Rojas or Eben? I would definitely say Rojas, wouldn't you?
I love Rojas. I love Rojas.
Yeah. Knack also coming back. Maybe the Glass Now Phantom IL isn't so phantom. I've said that for a long time now. When the Dodgers are secretive, it's never good.
You're right, and that has been a concern of mine with Glasnow, and they keep saying, let's hope he's ready for the playoffs. Landon Knack, I know David Vassay just reported is going to pitch it, what did I say, Friday? So it'll be nice to see Landon Knack throw. I'm excited to watch him.
Hey, here's a good point. Justin Lama says the last decent hitter we've gotten from the scrap heap was Muncy. Also Chris Taylor. Chris Taylor not good now. Not saying that now, but he has been a really, really good player for the Dodgers over the years. Elishiva Kiermaier is elite at center field. So fun to watch him do his thing. I got more trust in the pitchers in our farm than the position players. I don't think you could disagree with that because the Dodgers give them way more runway to. And also, by the way, pitchers have the advantage. I mean, pitchers, if they succeed 70% of the time, are failures. If hitters fail 70% of the time, they're Hall of Famers. So just in short sample sizes, which is what the rookies get, the pitchers are always going to look better because it's easier to pitch than it is to hit.
Yes, back to the Muncy thing. That was a great job by the Dodgers. Chris Taylor, I should have looked at the stats, but he's starting to play better. He's starting to play a lot better. He's a playoff stud in the playoffs. So that was another guy the Dodgers got resurrected. And you're right. Justin Turner, Kike Hernandez. I mean, we could do a whole show on this, Casey.
Yeah,
but
no doubt.
I think Muncy is the one that always will stand out because he's hitting 30-plus home runs and he comes up with these big-time at-bats. So, yeah.
Your brother came through, man. 2% owner.
I told you, my brother would know. He lives in Los Angeles. He better know that stuff.
Hey, Goat, first of all, 2 more questions here. Would you re-sign Teo next year if it's going to be multiple years and a little bit of an overpay?
If they asked Coach Barikoff and they said, Coach, we're going to go with you, absolutely, I'm signing. I love him in left. I love what he's in L.A. He just looks like an L.A. guy. The fans seem to gravitate with him. He looks great in the clubhouse. I am all the way 100% in on Teo.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and then also the last question here was Barnes and Smith. Is there a big difference between those two offensively right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Listen, yes, Will Smith has slumped. Will Smith is one of the best catchers in all of baseball. Barnesy is a great utility guy. Once or twice a week he plays. He's playing tonight. Let's take this great hitting streak, this great time right now that Barnes is hitting, because that's not what he's known for. There is no comparison with me. Will Smith is top 2 in all of baseball at the catcher position.
No, I blew that. That wasn't actually a question.
Oh,
that I blew that. My fault. The actual question was, are you worried at all about the playoffs? Is there anything about this team that worries you about the playoffs?
Yeah, let's be honest. If our pitchers aren't healthy, yes, that is concern our starting pitching. Absolutely. I mean, I think we would be off our rocker if we were not concerned with our starting pitching. If our starting pitching, if you've Glasnow, Yamamoto, Stone, Flattery, yeah, I'm really excited, because then your bullpen is going to be really good going into the playoffs. I mean, look what we got bullpen-wise. Brazier, Hudson, you got Kopech, Evan Phillips, Blake Trinan. You got to tell me if those guys are rested, ready for the playoff run. Yeah, we're going to be pretty doggone good. But I am concerned about starting pitching. Okay, Coach, so we're going to hit to the down the farm here in a segment. You got any final comments? No, again, let's beat these Orange County Angels. You know what? And let's get ready. We got the Guardians coming in, right? Let's do this. Let's just keep giving it to the D-bags and the Padres and make them having to come win. And let's go blue. Let's go. So it's officially the Orange County Angels. They're not in Los Angeles. It's the Arizona D-bags. That's my wife. It's the San Diego Madres. Is that right? That's that guy. Yeah, but Angels are in Orange County. They're off the 57 freeway. Come on now. It's right by Disneyland. Right. Coach, appreciate it, man. It's always fun whenever we get to talk to you. So let's not waste more time. Let's take a trip down the farm. Welcome to Dodgers Daily Down on the Farm. So glad that you stuck around to talk about the Dodgers prospects. Love doing that. Look at that fastball to the top of the zone for Eric Swan. That's who you're seeing here, 6'6", 2023 draft pick out of Middle Tennessee State. And hey, this is a guy that I've communicated with him a couple of times. Fastball, 96, 98, slider, and then he has also and a changeup. But hey, right there's a slider. But also you're going to see in this sequence, that right there is cutter. He is throwing both a slider and a cutter. So he has that cutter right there to get underneath the left-hander's hands. Dodgers prospects guys have been doing that a lot. Then he has that slider that has quite a bit more depth. So the cutter in on the hands to lefties, and then you throw that sinker back to that comes in on the hands and righties, and it's a really, really nice combination. And it's good to see Eric Swan really have yet another nice outing for him last night for Rancho. 4 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 5 strikeouts, just 1 walk. And like we said, as you saw here, fastball played well at the top of the zone. He hit that corner right there, which is what they call the 4 slot. That's the glove side corner outside the righties. Look at that cutter. That is a great pitch for Eric Swan. That one there, so 2 cutters back to back. That's a pitch that he has not thrown all year long, so that's a new addition for him. But that slider and fastball played really well off of each other. The cutter played off of all of that. So 4-seam 96 to 98, slider 86 to 90, changeup 88 to 91, and all out of a 6'6" frame. So tons to like. No doubt about that, about Eric Swan, young man that, again, he has a ton of potential for the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes and in this system. And another guy that I want to talk about in this system that just got brought down, we talked about 2023 being a draft pick for Eric Swan. This is a 2024 draft pick,
and this is Evan Shaw. Worked a clean ninth inning last night, and he actually preserved the shutout. The Rancho Cucamonga Quakes, starting with Eric Swan at the beginning, and then bookended by Evan Shaw. Look at that left-handed. It kind of has good tail back to his arm side, and he has good cut on the fastball as well, and or on his cutter, I should say, and then different shapes to his breaking ball. He can make the breaking ball a little bit shorter to give it more just of a right turn, and he can give it more depth. And look at that tail on the fastball right there. I really like that tail on the fastball there again against lefties, that sinker-looking pitch. And look at that great play. That's Elijah Hainline. That actually ended the game last night. And how about this? Evan Shaw got his first professional win last night. There's a good tail again with that fastball, kind of a sinker-looking pitch in on the hands of a lefty. Got his first W last night as a professional, and just the other day he got his first pro save. And in his last outing that I saw with my own eyes with the University of Kansas at Globe Life Field in Arlington, he went 5 innings in a start. So you're talking about a guy that just as of recently has gone a 5-inning start. He's got his first save, and he also got his first W. So very good Evan Shaw is, and also very, 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 very versatile, which is something that we know that the Dodgers value very, very much. And last night, the high A Great Lakes Loons did not play, so we're going to jump all the way up to AA Tulsa, and we're going to talk about a very talented young man that has had a very, very difficult and trying season this year, and that would be Jose Ramos, who had 3 hits last night for AA Tulsa. Good job, Jose. 14th home run, and like I said, hey, lots of talent. We know all about that. We saw all the good opportunities he got in spring training, and he did very well with them. And quite frankly, it has been a tough year for Jose Ramos, but we know that he can do that as well as absolutely anybody in the game. He can hit balls as far as anybody, and no one is more impressive when things go right than Jose Ramos. So it'd be really nice to see him gather a lot of momentum, in a year that hasn't gone the way that he's wanted, but gather a lot of momentum at the end of this year, carry it into the offseason, bring it back into spring training next year, because when you have the talent that Jose Ramos has, you're going to continue to getting chances, because eventually you're just too talented for the light bulb not to go off completely. So super excited about the night last night for Jose Ramos and his ability to gather 3 hits and have a good night for the AA Tulsa Drillers, who have had a very difficult year. It's been, the matter of fact, they've only been averaging just a little over 2 runs a game for about the last 2 weeks, I think, is what I heard Dennis Higgins say on the broadcast. Don't exactly quote me on the exact timeline, but it's something like that. And then also Jainer Fernandez, who has also had a fairly difficult year this year. The AA Tulsa Drillers started with Diego Cartaya and Dalton Rushing. So Fernandez is playing a lot of second base. And then when Cartaya got moved up, I believe, what was that, end of May, early June, then Fernandez started catching a little bit more. And then when Dalton Rushing got moved up, he started catching quite a bit more. Now, Griffin Lockwood Powell has done, I think, the bulk of the catching duties for AA Tulsa. But Jainer Fernandez has gone back home, some at catcher. And the thing about him is that his bat-to-ball skills, like this year, has not been a great year for him. You look at his batting average, you look at all those kinds of things. It's been a little bit down of a year for Jainer Fernandez. I don't mean to throw shade, and I don't think that's being negative whatsoever. I just think that's kind of calling it what it is. But the exciting part of that is because his bat-to-ball skills are so good, even on a year that's not great as far as gathering a ton of hits like this year hasn't been, that keeps him close to a league average type offensive player, even during those stretches, because he's still getting on base. Like, for instance, this year, like I mentioned, tough year, WRC plus is still 91. And so, I mean, if he just plays offense like he's somewhat capable, that tells you right there that he's going to be an above average offensive player on better years. So that's kind of the way that I choose to view the year of Jainer Fernandez, and then more so just the future outlook and potential and ability for him is that the floor, I think he showed his lowest floor this year. And yes, you don't like a 91 WRC plus, but if that's the lowest you ever go, you could certainly take that. And that's actually a pretty good offensive player from there. So going to move up to AAA Oklahoma City. And guess who stole the show last night? Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Not going to sugarcoat it, though. 53 pitches for Yamamoto, 36 for strikes, and he threw 2 innings of rehab last night, gave up 2 hits, 2 runs, 3 strikeouts, and 2 walks. So here's his breakdown. He threw his four-seam fastball 26 times. It averaged 95.4. That all is good. The velo was good, but it got hit. The average exit velo on his four-seam fastball was 101.4. His curveball averaged 62 inches of break, which is a ton. And then he threw it in zone 58% of the time, which is fantastic. But then it got hit too. The average exit velo on his curveball was 105.2. And then he threw 12 splitters, so he threw 12 curveballs and 12 splitters. And he threw the exact same amount of both. And then the splitter got hit at an average exit velo of 107.72. So there is something there right now that is a little bit off with the Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Location likely because the velo looks good. The movement on his curveball looks good. They're landing in the strike zone. Just his stuff right now is getting hit. So, hey, nobody better than the Dodgers system to figure those things out. I think part of it, too, he had a 17-pitch at bat that he eventually walked a guy on in the second inning. I think that paid a toll as well. And then also, it's only 2 innings. So, I mean, you're not getting a very big... We've seen Yamamoto before get hit early in games and then get through like that first or second inning when he had some trouble and then just like cruise through the next 5. So it's a small sample size. He could have gotten out of this second inning if it was, if he was totally healthy and in a regular setting and then gone 5 more and we would not even hardly, the line could have looked like 7 innings, 2 runs and 2 hits, and everybody would have been super excited. So, hey, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he had through 2 innings last night, again, got hit by 3 different pitch types. 3 different pitch types of him got hit, I think, more than Dodgers fans would be comfortable with. So I'll just say this, and this is way above my pay grade, but I would have to think with that outing last night, probably he is not imminent to the Dodgers. Just the 2 innings. There's been a problem with the Dodgers starters not going long enough and taxing the bullpen. So the length itself doesn't say that Yamamoto's close, at least to come back as a starter. And then the fact that he got hit with 3 different pitch types as hard as he did, you wouldn't have to think that, or you wouldn't think that anything is imminent with him. And in the same game, Brusdar Graterol threw as well, gave up 1 run in his 1 inning last night. But yeah, his sinker was pretty good, averaged 97.7. The cutter was good, averaged 93, and he also threw a slider. So he was a sinker, cutter, slider pitcher last night. Sinker and cutter, those 2 didn't get hit. It was all in his slider. Matter of fact, he gave up a 73-mile-an-hour single on his cutter. So he did give up a hit on his cutter, but it was only 73 miles an hour. But the other 2 hits he gave up off of his slider were both hit over 100 miles an hour. So if you're to ask me, hey, why did Brusdar Graterol give up a run? Where are the weak spots at this point, or what are the things maybe that he needs to work on the most? I think last night would say that he needs to work on his slider and get it to locations of the zone that are a little bit safer. So I think it was a good outing. I think we're pretty close for Brusdar Graterol to come back to the club. We will see what the organization thinks. But again, the slider and the cutter were good last night for Brusdar Graterol. This is Connor Brogdon. I want to bring him up because we know the Dodgers love their quad A guys. When I say quad A, guys that are in AAA that have a ton of major league experience, and that is Connor Brogdon. Connor Brogdon, 145 career major league innings. He's 29 years old. And hey, check this out. Connor Brogdon's major league ERA lifetime is 3.97. So it'll be really interesting. I don't know, this year it's pretty full, and you already got Brusdar Graterol coming back, so not quite sure. It would take, I think, maybe a couple of injuries to for him to get a look this year? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell. The Dodgers make so many moves, you never know. But with a guy like Connor Brogdon, who throws in the same game as Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Brusdar Graterol, which means all of the scouts are there. And so that means that if they threw Connor Brogdon, they wanted the scouts to get a look at him. There's a nice little change-up type pitch for Connor Brogdon. Be interesting to see what kind of plans they have for him. Scoreless inning last night. His fastball was 92 to 94, and his ERA is down to 2.16. Fastball, change-up, cutter mix. You saw the change-up just a minute ago. There is a change-up right there, and then he throws a cutter that turns left, and then a good fastball in on the hands of righties right there. So that's Connor Brogdon. And then the last guy that I wanted to talk about here down on the farm, as the farm action really is starting to ramp up, or ramp down, I should say. Matter of fact, the Great Lakes Loons did not play last night because instead they played on Monday. The last guy I want to talk about is having a really good finish to this year. He's created some momentum in a year that, hey, it's had some ups and downs, and that would be John Rooney. You guys know how much I like John Rooney and how much I've said many different times, him and Gallic Gamboa. I hope the organization does right by him. Through the last 2 innings last night, 2 innings scoreless for AAA or AAA Oklahoma City. 2 innings, no hits, so he gave up no hits, no runs, and he had 5 strikeouts and no walks. It's always been the command of the strike zone for John Rooney, and then sometimes just the control to get the ball in the strike zone for him. So to see the no walks combined with 5 strikeouts is a big line for him. So how about the momentum he has created since the beginning of August, which includes 8 outings? He has an ERA of just 2.41, and he has 13 strikeouts in 11.2 innings. So like we said earlier, John Rooney has created a lot of momentum for himself, and that's really cool because, I mean, this is a guy that has grinded and grinded and grinded, and he's been in the organization for a minute now, and because of that, you like to see those kind of guys at least get their chance, give them a chance to prove themselves on the next level, and hopefully that can happen for John Rooney sooner rather than later. And I wanted to back up to Rancho Cucamonga. This game right here actually ended the play. Watch this. This is Elijah Hainline, a draft pick out of Oregon State from this last year. Look at him go in the hole right there. Going to back that up. Look how far in the hole he is right there. So number 1, the athletic ability to get to this ball. Number 2, the arm strength to get it to first base. And then number 3, the clutch factor that it is in the 9th inning. I wanted to go back. I meant to mention that earlier in the show after Eric Swan and Evan Shaw, but great play by Elijah Hainline last night to solidify the shutout for the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes.